Cheap, generic stick welders that promise all-day power often leave you standing over a sputtering arc, wondering why you spent so little only to end up buying a replacement. That hesitation is what keeps a lot of hobbyists and small shop owners up at night. They're torn between a budget model that might fail on the first tough job and a pricier unit that feels safer on paper but still carries unknown trade-offs. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Maxstar 161S series from Miller tries to sit right in the middle, promising a 240-volt setup that can handle thicker steel without the bulk of a full-size industrial machine. The question is whether that promise translates into a smarter buy or just another midly off-the-road option that ends up gathering dust. When I first started digging into the stick welder market, the biggest pattern I saw was the divide between ultralight starter welders and the heavy-duty units that sit on a shop floor. The starters usually run on 120V, have a limited amperage range, and can overheat if you push them past a few minutes of continuous welding. The heavy-duty rigs, while rock-solid, often require a dedicated 240V circuit and can be overkill for occasional fence repairs or automotive framework. The Maxstar 161S is marketed as a 240V machine that's still compact enough to fit in a garage, which sounds like the sweet spot for someone who does a mix of hobby projects and occasional professional-grade jobs. Who should actually consider this welder? If you're a weekend mechanic who patches up rusted frames, a DIYer who builds garden equipment, or a small shop owner who needs a reliable arc for occasional steel fabrication, the Maxstar 161S hits the right notes. Its 240V requirement means you can draw enough power to weld inch plate without the constant overload warnings you see on lower voltage models. That extra amperage also helps keep the arc stable when you're welding dirty or rust-covered metal, a real-world scenario you'll encounter more often than a pristine test piece. For someone who already has a 240V outlet in the shop or can run a short extension cord from the house panel, the machine slots in without a massive electrical upgrade. On the flip side, if you're looking for a truly portable solution that runs off a standard 120V household outlet, the Maxstar 161S will feel like you're asking a semi-truck to pull a bicycle. The need for a 240V source ties it to a fixed location or at least a dedicated circuit, which can be a hurdle for field work where you only have a generator or a car outlet. Likewise, if you're a professional welder who needs multi-process capability MIG, TIG, or plasma, you'll quickly outgrow a stick-only platform, no matter how solid the arc. In those cases, the Maxstar becomes a stepping stone rather than the final destination. From the practical side, the machine's design feels very Miller. The knobs have that classic tactile click, and the power cord is robust enough to survive the occasional snag on a workbench. I've seen owners mention that the unit starts up with a firm, confident hum, and the arc maintains a steady bead even when you're moving slowly across a joint. That kind of consistency matters when you're trying to fuse two pieces of structural steel for a small bridge or a garage door frame. A wandering arc can mean weak spots that you'll have to grind out later. The duty cycle, while not advertised in the specs I could find, seems to be adequate for 30-minute jobs with short rests, which is exactly the kind of workload the average homeowner or small shop runs. There are a few hidden trade-offs that become clearer once you pull the machine out of the box. First, the weight. It's lighter than a full-size shop welder, but at around 30+ pounds it's still something you'll need a sturdy cart or a bench to keep it from rolling around. Second, the control set is intentionally simple. You get a main amperage dial and a basic polarity switch. That simplicity is a blessing for beginners, but it also means you lack fine-tuning options like a digital display for exact amperage, adjustable hot start, or arc force controls that some mid-range welders provide. If you're the type who likes to dial in a precise 125A for thin sheet work, you'll end up using the rough dial and hoping you're close enough. Another practical consideration is the consumable lineup. Since this is a stick welder, you're locked into electrode choices. That's fine if you already stock common E6010, E7018, or similar rods, but it does mean you won't get the benefit of a spooled wire that some users love for speed on thin metal. In real projects, say you're repairing a rusted fence post, you'll probably reach for a flux cord stick because it handles the dirt and paint better than a MIG wire would. The Maxstar's ability to sustain a stable arc with those rods is a definite plus. Looking at the rating landscape, the machine sits at a modest 3.8 out of 5 stars from a small pool of 36 reviewers. That suggests a generally positive reception with A.